Happy new Frank Zappa Day to those of us who celebrate. Hey group, welcome to Actual Corner. I'm your host, Richard May, with Frank Zappa, Zappa 66, Volume 1, live at the TTG Studios. Mind you, whatever I say after this, there is no such thing as bad Frank Zappa. Does not exist in my book. But I warn you, this is 1966, Frank Zappa, just a short while after the debut record came out. 60. This is when the counterculture began to blow up. And people did not realize yet that Frank Zappa had a jaundiced eye on everybody. They thought, well, he became the kings of the freak scene in Los Angeles. He was the house band for the freaks. And they didn't realize that he really wasn't part of the scene. He was, but he was always an outsider. And he really proved it going into the 70s and until his death in the 90s. And so this is before the jazz, the hard rock, the really obscene lyrics that we enjoyed in the 70s. This is not that period yet, which is part of this new scene with the Byrds and Jefferson Airplane and the Doors. All of it. You're just part of the fabric of those freaks in California, of these long-haired kids in California. It didn't quite spread to the Midwest and the rest of America yet, or the world. And so he was at the forefront of the soon-to-be referred to as the hippie movement. Okay? So, is there jamming here? Oh, there's jamming. Okay? And it's a live show for an intimate audience, because it's not in a nightclub or whatever. It's in a studio. So there isn't that much room for that big of a crowd in a studio. So it's not what it is. It's live, but it's not a concert. What happened was CBS, when they were square, of course they're square again, but never mind, CBS television. Never mind current events. But back in the 60s, when the squares discovered, something's happening in California, this is scary for the World War II veterans. There's only 21 years after the end of World War II. And our kids are getting weird. At least some of the kids in California. So let's do a documentary. It'll be released about a year later, called Sex in Today's World. And so they needed footage of the Freaks in California. And they approached Frank Zappa because he was the house band of the Freaks. They said, will you, in a controlled environment where, they didn't want to go into the risky go-go or wherever else, where they would not have control of what's being filmed. They wanted set up for the camera crew to have good footage of the Freaks in action and this Freak band playing the soundtrack. And Frank, who hasn't made it yet, of course, goes, ooh, chance for publicity. I'm in. Come on over. And he sets up the studio where they recorded their debut record. And so they invite their friends, their soon-to-be or then friends, to this show for the benefit of the documentary crew from CBS. And, and the crew, the director would go to Frank during the show and say, oh, we need this. We need the kids freaking out and dancing and so on. And so they did. So that's the background. So, you maybe, when you hear this, you're going to wonder, is there video footage of this? Only in the documentary. Apparently CBS says it was set up for CBS. CBS, the documentary makers, they control the film. Frank recorded the show on a reel-to-reel, and that's why we have this today. So, and of course, Joe Travers, curator of Frank Zappa's Vault, pieced this show together because, Frank liked taking snippets here and snippets there and using it elsewhere. Joe had to put together the show, with some stuff from the documentary that he got permission from. And it's a fairly typical live Frank show. Audience participation. Hey kids, what do you think about Planned Parenthood? And, directing the kids to sing along and, and participate in the show. So you could be familiar, but this is like the first early stuff where you find Frank directing the audience. So, I want to thank Scott Parker, who has a Substack, Frank Zappa Research, if I can read my notes, for giving me much of the background of this album. And so, Substack, look up Scott Parker. If you're a Zappa freak and you're not reading Scott Parker, I think you need to. And one other thing that makes this rare for the Frank Zappa freaks. This is one of the rare recordings with Dale Casher, who was, or whatever he was. Is Dale still alive? I forgot to look up if he's still with us. We love you, Dale. Good work on the album. But he was a member of the Wrecking Crew, the old studio crew that worked out a session player that played on a lot of people's studio records as a session guy. And so he joined the Mothers for a short time. So this is one of the few samples where you get to hear Dale Casher playing guitar with Frank. And the guitar player is great, as always. And so, if you ever, oh, this guy was in the Mothers, I never heard this, and we're going to hear it. This is where you can hear Dale Casher with the Mothers. And there's a lot of jamming here, but it's early jamming. This is blues-based jamming. Not so much the jazz or the hard rock you would love later. This is the early Mothers. So know that going in, this is what you're going to hear. The jams are great. Freak Chauffeur, wonderful jam. Victory Through Vegetables, another long extended jam. This is over 10-minute jams. So those two really got my ears going. Those are good. And there's other jams, Electric Banana, early version of Absolutely Free. It would be recorded soon after. The song I Could Be a Slave, later would be done No Matter What You Do. Easy Jam, early version of Knacky Sack, edited to Caproons, which would be used in Absolutely Free later. The Absolutely Free album. Great stuff. And some of this you only can hear here. So, Freak Chauffeur is the physical debut of Freak Chauffeur. And it is great stuff. But it's early Frank Zappa. Okay. 66. 60 years ago. But it's all good. And it's all the stuff that you expect for Frank Zappa early form. Okay? And Alternative Records makes their comeback, which is a Zappa Estate label. So when you look for your physical, that's the label it's on. And it would be interesting to see a video of this, but it doesn't exist. CBS, I don't think valued. They didn't care to shoot a concert of the Mothers of Invention. They didn't see value in that. After all, it was just a bunch of these long-haired kids, who care about this? They just needed footage for the documentary. They freak out our grandfathers, great-grandfathers, whatever your age is, about, oh my God, what's happening with my kids? This is not what I fought World War II for. What is? Give me a break here. Okay, I'm back. So this is an authentic Los Angeles Freak performance from October 1966. So I made it clear this is where this is occurring. before the world really learned what the kids were up to. Early Frank Zappa. It's not, remember, genre-wise, it's not the Zappa you're used to. You're usually listening to 70s Zappa. Most people, at least in my experience, don't get much into the 60s Zappa. That Zappa's still becoming himself. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Production is great, of course. And ain't no balance. It's Zappa. Okay, what was the song called? I Could Be a Slave, Story Untold. Yeah, that gets a bit sappy. You know, Frank wasn't the cynical SOB we know and love yet, okay? Those are pretty straight, couple songs there put together into a melody. And so, be excused if you skip that one. But there you are. It's 66. Frank's still learning to get permission to be the cynical SOB we love. This is on YouTube. So there you go. Anything to offend you? Oh, hell yeah. Not that they really do that much obscenities. But the track called Legalize Abortion. And Frank goes into the crowd and says, what do you think of Planned Parenthood? And the kids wasn't hip to Planned Parenthood being their friend yet. But when Frank went, what about abortion? You want to legalize abortion? Oh, yeah. 66, the kids were still catching on to current events. So that might offend some of the squares out there. And of course, why is a square even watching this? Don't you know what Zappa is? You're a Republican, you don't want to be listening to this. No. Not your scene. Democrats even. Frank had an issue with everybody. Is it fun? Oh, hell yeah. But it's still this early Zappa. It's not as much fun as it was going to be later. So, this is Zappa learning his trade. It's good, but he's learning his trade. It's not as good as it's going to be later. As a live director of the crowd, of audience participation, so on, he isn't quite up to snuff yet. He's still creating the Frank Zappa we love. Did I make everything clear now? You good? On YouTube, check it out. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to Action Right Corner, go to the notification bell, and go listen. I didn't mention you get full value here. 78 minutes. 78 minutes of a live Zappa set from 66 with lots of jamming. Okay? Some of the silliness in between. You got the one pop medley thing. But outside of that, they jam. Early jamming, but it's jamming. Come back and tell us what you think, okay? And for latest in action rock, energy rock, garage, psychobilly, and stoner rock, and whenever there's a new Zappa, I'm on it. And other classic and legacy bands. Come back here to Action Rock Corner. We'll have it for you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for allowing me the nose wipe break. I try not to have my nose run on camera as best I can. Why is this going on? It's 80 degrees out there. Well, I have my air conditioning on. Thank you. This is why I'm hoarse today, is I had the air conditioning on. Yeah, I think it was. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.